Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Alexis and today I'm going to be sharing 20 books that I own physically. I'm hoping to get to this fall. Realistically, it's not going to be completed because I have a considerable stack of other books that I may change my mind about throughout the season. Essentially, these books that I have today are fantasy romances, historical romances, and a few contemporary romances as well that may give off a suspenseful situation for me or something that is more spooky in the elements that are provided, paranormal, things like that. So, with that being said, let's get into the list that I have. To start off, I'm going to go with the contemporary romances I have today. The first one is titled The Girl in 6E by A.R. Torre. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I could be mistaken, but I'll read the synopsis as well. I have imagined him in my mind for so long, my imagination creating a monster of grotesque features and proportions. But standing before me, his head tilted and eyes sharp, is just a man, slightly balding, 20 pounds too heavy, whose mouth is turning into a sneer, whose eyes are narrowing, stands strong, the combined effect sinister. This man, this balding, thick man, has whispered in my ear, poured out the disgusting thoughts of his soul, showed me the dark evil in his heart. And now he is stepping closer, the excitement radiating from his body like a foul smell. He thinks I am weak. He thinks he can manipulate and subdue me, kill me. He has no idea that my small frame and delicate features contain an evil that rivals his own. I finger the knife in my pocket and fight to keep a grin off my face. This is it. This is my time. So this one, I'm not necessarily sure if it is a romance book. However, I have seen it across romance booktube as well as Instagram. So I'm hoping it's something that I'll be intrigued by. I mean, it already implies thriller, as you can tell by the cover. So do not disturb. And yeah, dark, edgy, and thrilling. So I'm looking forward to this. The next book that I have here is Verity by Colleen Hoover. And no, I have not read any book by this author yet. Honestly, I was concerned about the hype surrounding her backlist, and I didn't want to hop into it just yet, but I was able to get a hold of this secondhand. So, with that being said, I'll read the back. Lowen Ashley is a struggling writer on the brink of financial ruin when she accepts the job offer of a lifetime. Jeremy Crawford, husband of best-selling author Verity Crawford, has hired Lowen to complete the remaining books in a successful series his injured wife is unable to finish. Lowen arrives at the Crawford home, ready to sort through years of Verity's notes and outlines, hoping to find enough material to get her started. What Lowen doesn't expect to uncover in the chaotic office is an unfinished autobiography Verity never intended for anyone to read. Page after page of bone-chilling admissions, including Verity's recollection of the night their family was forever altered. Lowen decides to keep the manuscript hidden from Jeremy, knowing its contents would devastate the already grieving father. But as Lowen's feelings for Jeremy begin to intensify, she recognizes all the ways she could benefit if he were to read his wife's words. After all, no matter how devoted Jeremy is to his injured wife, a truth this horrifying would make it impossible for him to continue to love her. This is a standalone romantic thriller from #1 New York Times bestselling author Colleen Hoover. So, I think that pretty much sums up my reason for picking this. And, like I said, October, Halloween vibes, this is definitely giving that for contemporary. This next book I picked is actually not anything spooky related, but this is an author I was putting off, and I finally finished one of her books titled Southern Storms, and that is Brittany C. Cherry. She now only publishes under Brittany Cherry, but this one is Behind the Bars, and this has been on my TBR for a while, but I haven't picked it up. So I'm hoping to get to it this time, and it says on the back, When I first met Jasmine Green, she came in as raindrops. I was the awkward musician and she was the high school queen. The only things we had in common were our music and our loneliness. Something in her eyes told me her smile wasn't always the truth. Something in her voice gave me a hope I always wished to find. And in a flash, she was gone. Years later, she was standing in front of me on a street in New Orleans. She was different, but so was I. Life made us colder, harder, isolated, caged. Even though we were different, the broken pieces of me recognized the sadness in hers. Now she was back, and I wouldn't make the mistake of letting her go again. When I first met Jasmine Green, she came in as raindrops. When we met again, I became her darkest storm. And yes, I guess that is a hint of suspenseful elements in here. We'll see. The next set of books that I have here definitely fall under paranormal and fantasy. So, with that being said, Christine Fahan, Shadow Game is the first book in her, I believe, Ghostwalkers series, which I have yet to start. But I have collected, I believe, half of the series, if not more, already physically. And I haven't even picked up anything by this author. So, it's much overdue for me to read this. But again, I haven't really read anything much within the paranormal romance genre. If anything, this would probably be my first. Reading wise, definitely movies, I've been exposed to things like Twilight, if we even want to talk about it. But book wise, this will probably be the first for me. And on the back, it says the classified experiment is the brainchild of renowned scientist Peter Whitney and his brilliant daughter Lily. Created to enhance the psychic abilities of an elite squadron, it can transform their natural mental powers into a unique military weapon. But something has gone wrong. In the isolated underground labs, the men have been dying, victims of bizarre accidents. Captain Ryland Miller knows he is next. When Dr. Whitney himself is murdered, Ryland has only one person left to trust, the beautiful Lily. Possessed by an uncanny sixth sense herself, Lily shares Ryland's every new fear, every betrayal, every growing suspicion, and every passionate beat of the heart. Together, they will be drawn deeper into the labyrinth of her father's past and closer to a secret that someone would kill to keep hidden. And this is described as a sizzling romance with twisting, turning, and avenues of suspense. So, again, ideal for the holiday Halloween season. And this is the first in the series, Shadow Game. There is a step back, but alas, it's just a bunch of words. So, looking forward to this as well. I also have The Rogue King by Abigail Owen, and this is the first book in the Inferno Rising series. I am aware that this is available on my library's Hoopla, but I was able to snag this for a very decent price locally. So on the back, it says Kasia Ammon, if I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Kasia Ammon is a master at hiding. Who and what she is makes her a mark for the entire supernatural world, especially dragon shifters. To them, she's treasure to be taken and claimed, a golden ticket to their highest throne. But she can't stop bursting into flames, and there's a sexy dragon shifter in town hunting for her. As a rogue dragon, Brand Astrod has spent his life in the dark, shunned by his own kind, concealing his true identity. Only his dangerous reputation ensures his survival. Delivering a phoenix to the feared Blood King will bring him one step closer to the revenge he's waited centuries to take. No way is he letting the feisty beauty get away. But when Kasia sparks a white-hot need in him that's impossible to ignore, Brand begins to form a new plan, claim her for himself, and take back his birthright. This is considered sexy, suspenseful, and smoking hot, so this is a first by this author as well. The next two books I am very excited to discuss, and that would be by Grace Draven. I have Radiance and El Dalon here. Radiance comes first, and then this one, so I'm only going to read the back of Radiance. I admit I've already read Entreat Me by this author, which I'll place the image here, Fortunately, I do not have the physical copy of that yet, but I did enjoy it, so I already collected four other books, and these are two of them. So I will read the back, Radiance Only, and it says, The Prince of No Value. Rustin Casman, Prince of the Kai, has lived content as the non-essential spare heir to a throne secured many times over. A trade and political alliance between the human kingdom of Gore and the Kai kingdom of Bas Heredis requires that he marry a Gori woman to seal the treaty. Always a dutiful son, Rustin agrees to the marriage and discovers his bride is as ugly as he expected and more beautiful than he could have imagined. The noblewoman of no importance. Ildiko, niece of the Gori king, has always known her only worth to the royal family lay in a strategic marriage. Resigned to her fate, she is horrified to learn that her intended groom isn't just a foreign aristocrat, but the younger prince of a people neither familiar or human. Bound to her new husband, Ildiko will leave behind all she's known to embrace a man shrouded in darkness, but with a soul forged by light. Two people brought together by the trappings of duty and political intrigue will discover they are destined for each other, even as the powers of the hostile kingdom scheme to teach. Two people brought together by the trappings of duty and politics will discover they are destined for each other, even as the powers of a hostile kingdom scheme. Two people brought together by the trappings of duty and politics will discover they are destined for each other, even as the powers of a hostile kingdom scheme to tear them apart. So, yes, I am looking forward to reading Radiance as well as the sequel. I have no doubts that I'm going to enjoy these because of how well beloved it is. And there is a third book in the series as well, but the first two follow the same couple, and then the next one follows another couple. But these were excellent finds for my local thrifts. So, there we go. From another series by Grace Draven, I have the first book in the Fallen Empire series, Phoenix Unbound, and the second book, Dragon Unleashed. There is due to be a third book coming out, I believe at the end of this year or early next year. I can't quite remember the date, but I'll read the first one. So, a witch blazes but does not burn. A gladiator bleeds but does not break. Together they will challenge the empire, which sought to destroy them. Every year, each town is required to send a woman to the empire's capital, her fate to be burned alive for the entertainment of the masses. For the last 5 years, one small village's tithe has been the same woman. Galene's sacrifice protects all the other young women of her village, and her secret to staying alive lies with the magic only she possesses. But this year is different. Azarian, the Empire's most famous gladiator, has somehow seen through her illusion and is set on blackmailing Galene into using her abilities to help him escape his life of slavery. Unknown to Galene, he also wants to reclaim his birthright as leader of his clan. To protect her family and village, she will abandon everything to return to the Empire and burn once more. So, yes, this is also praised by another author, Leona Andrews. I've heard about her books as well, so this seems very promising. And then Dragon Unleashed follows another couple, I believe. So yes, it does follow another couple, so I'm not even going to bother reading the back of this either because I want to understand the world before I even attempt to get into the second book. Now I'm going to go over all of the historical romances on this fall TBR. The first 2 or 3 books I've already started, but considering it's been a bit of time, I am going to hopefully progress with these ones for the rest of the fall season and not leave them on my did not finish list or DTR. So yes. Here I have Teresa Medeiros, Charming the Prince. I did really enjoy Yours Until Dawn, which is this book, and I am selling my duplicate copy on my Pango book, so feel free to check that down below. But this one, Charming the Prince, does feature a lovely step back. The back essentially says, Dear reader, my enemies know me as Lord Banner the Bold, pride of the English and terror of the French. Never in my life have I backed down from any challenge or betrayed so much as a hint of fear, until the war ended and I found myself a reluctant papa to a dozen unruly children. Realizing that I couldn't lop their little heads off or throw them in the dungeon, I sent my steward out to find them a mother and me a bride, an unattractive, meek, maternal creature too plain to tempt me to her or get her with child. You can imagine my horror when he returned with Lady Willow of Bedlington, a spirited beauty who made me think of nothing else. With her cloud of dark curls and the sparkle of passion in her eyes, Willow was everything I'd sworn to resist. I never dreamed she would join forces with those mischievous imps of mine to teach the cynical warrior just how sweet surrender can be. Banner the Bold, Lord of Elsinore. Elsinore? Yes, so I did already start this. I am a little over halfway. Ooh, as you can see, I am a little over halfway. I have my tabs in there. So far, it is giving me Nanny McPhee a situation because essentially he brings in a wife and he has a lot of kids. So if you really enjoyed Nanny McPhee, I have a feeling you'll enjoy this as well. But again, I'm only halfway. So hopefully we'll see this being discussed in my end of September wrap up. But yes, there's this one. I have Scarlet Peckham the Rakess, which is the first book of the Society of Sirens series. I'm not sure if there is a sequel already out. I only read the first 2 chapters. I'll read the back of this as well. Meet the Society of Sirens, 3 radical libertine ladies determined to weaponize their scandalous reputations to fight for justice and the love they deserve. She's a Rakess on a quest for women's rights. Seraphina Arden's passions include equality, amorous affairs, and wild, wine-soaked nights. To raise funds for her cause, she's set to publish explosive memoirs exposing the powerful man who ruined her. Her ideals are her purpose, her friends are her family, and her paramours are forbidden to linger in the morning. He's not looking for a summer lover. Adam Anderson is a wholesome, handsome, widowed Scottish architect with 2 young children, a business to protect, and an aversion to scandal. He could never, ever afford to fall for Seraphina, but her indecent proposal, 1 month, no strings, no future, proves too tempting for a man who strains to keep his passions buried with the losses of his past. But one night changes everything. What began as a fling soon forces them to confront painful secrets and yearnings they thought they'd never have again. But when Seraphina discovers Adam's future depends on the man she's about to destroy, she must decide what to protect, her desire for justice or her heart. So, promising plot. Like I said, I only got 2 chapters in, so I can't really say much other than the fact that they've already met. And, it's clear that she has motives for reasons in the prologue. So, this hopefully completed by the end of September, if not the end of October for sure. The next book I have here is The Secret by Julie Garwood. This is a very popular, or at least from what I understand, very popular historical romance. This is not the original cover. That one is lost to me. I couldn't find it at all. So the back reads, Judith Hampton was as beautiful as she was proud and loyal. Her dear Scottish friend from childhood was about to give birth, and Judith had promised to be at her side. But there was another private reason for the journey from her bleak English home to the Highlands, to meet the father she had never known, the Lord Maclean. Nothing prepared her, however, for the sight of the Scottish barbarian who was to escort her into his land. Ian Maitland, Lord of his clan, a man more powerfully compelling than any she had ever encountered. In a spirited clash of wills and customs, Judith revelled in the melting bliss of Ian's searching kisses, his passionate caresses. Perplexed by her sprightly defiance, bemused by her tender nature, Ian felt his soul growing into the light and warmth of her love. Surely nothing would wrench her from the affection and trust of Ian and his clan, not even the truth about her father, a devastating secret that could shatter the boldest alliance and the most glorious of loves. So it sounds like the secret proves to be the main plot point of the story, but of course the romance is intriguing enough. So we'll see. A separate book that I previously started but will likely need to start again would be An Extraordinary Union by Alyssa Cole. This is another historical romance book that follows Elle Burns, and she is a former slave with a passion for justice and an elderic memory. El, uh, eidetic memory. Whatever that word is, a very good memory. Trading in her life of freedom in Massachusetts, she returns to the indignity of slavery in the South to spy for the Union Army. Malcolm McCall is a detective for Pinkerton's Secret Service. Subterfuge is his calling, but he's facing his deadliest mission yet, risking his life to infiltrate a rebel enclave in Virginia. Two undercover agents who share a common cause and an undeniable attraction, Malcolm and Elle join forces when they discover a plot that could turn the tide of the war in the Confederacy's favor. Caught in a tightening web of wartime intrigue and fighting a fiery and forbidden love, Malcolm and Elle must make their boldest move to preserve the Union at any cost, even if it means losing each other. This I did attempt to start. I only completed the first 3 chapters before I put it down. It's been quite a while, so I will need to restart. I only vaguely remember the beginning. I'm hoping to enjoy it more than I did on the first attempt. So I have here Alexis Hall's A Lady for a Duke. This will be my first read by this author. I did intend on reading boyfriend material and husband material, but I just never got around to it. And now that I have this physically, I have no choice, or I'm like not giving myself any choice to opt out of this because I bought it. So, secondhand, but nonetheless, I still bought it. The back reads, War tore them apart, chance brought them together, and love could set them free. When Viola Carroll was presumed dead at Waterloo, she took the opportunity to live at last as herself. But freedom does not come without a price, and Viola paid for hers with the loss of her wealth, her title, and her closest companion, Justin de Vere, the Duke of Gracewood. Only when their families reconnect, years after the war, does Viola learn how deep that loss truly was. Shattered without her, Gracewood has retreated so far into grief that Viola barely recognizes her old friend in the lonely, brooding man he has become. As Viola strives to bring Gracewood back to himself, fresh desires give new names to old feelings. Feelings that would have been impossible once and may be impossible still, but which Viola cannot deny, even if they cost her everything all over again. And this is supposed to be a transgender heroine, and that, as far as I know, has never been presented in a historical romance. So that is already groundbreaking right there. I'm hoping it's as enjoyable as it is intriguing because of this newness that's being brought into the genre. I also got a cute little bookmark from the person I bought it from, and that is she needed a hero, so that's what she became. And it was said by an unknown person, but yes, this is a pretty thick one. It's almost 450 pages, and it is, bigger than the mass market. This is the trade paperback version. So looking forward to this. Not sure how far into my TBR I'm going to get by the time I get to this. But yes, and also the author has the same name as me, so also intriguing. I want to hop back into Kerrigan Burns books. As you can see, I have 3 here. This one, Crying Wolf, is my next read in the Good Girls series. I'll read the back. He's the man with the Midas touch. Elijah Wolf is just as ruthless and aggressive as his name suggests. Born in harsh Nevada desert, he used his sharp wits and sharper fists to fight for survival, mining ore for terrible men, until one day he struck gold, literally. Despite his unimaginable wealth, His heart is empty of trust and his world full of enemies. He's come to England searching for a priceless treasure, one stolen from him, and is prepared to ruin anyone who gets in his way. She's a thief with a heart of gold. Rosaline Good, callous father, left her nothing but a legacy of shame. Instead of worrying about the women gossiping behind their fans or the cruelty of eligible men, she spends her nights avoiding society and mapping the stars. That is, until absurd circumstances find her nearly naked in the home of the famously unscrupulous, lethal American whose name is on everyone's lips. The promise of plunder. Succumbing to his shotgun wedding is the worst thing Eli can imagine, but if it is what he must do to get what he wants, then so be it. Except now, all of the arguments he made against the marriage are becoming enticements. His new wife is too young, too small, sheltered, soft, and sensitive for a man forged in the mines and tempered in the desert heat. If theirs is the devil's bargain, then why does her shy touch make him? If theirs is a devil's bargain, then why does her shy touch take him to heaven? So, this, other than the fact that I know the heroine is one of the sisters of the Good Sisters, hence the Good Girls series title, the hero appears to be an American, so there's already the idea of different cultures in here. She sounds more innocent than him and his rakish or tainted ways. So, looking forward to this. The next one by Kerrigan Byrne that I have from the Victorian Rebel series is The Duke with the Dragon Tattoo. According to the back, this follows the Rook. So he is only known as the Rook, a man with no name, no past, no memories. He awakens in a mass grave, a magnificent dragon tattoo on his muscled forearm, the sole clue to his mysterious origins. His only hope for survival and salvation lies in the deep, fiery eyes of the beautiful stranger who finds him, who nurses him back to health, and who calms the restless demons in his soul. A legendary love. Lorelei will never forget the night she rescued the devilishly handsome dark angel in the woods. After he went away, he took a piece of her heart with him, leaving Lorelei to return to her lonely life with her cruel brother. But now, after all these years, the Rook has returned. Like a phantom, he sweeps back into Lorelei's life and avenges those who wronged her. But can she believe in a man who's been branded a rebel, a thief, and a killer? And can she trust herself to resist him when he takes her in his arms? Very exciting. All of the heroes in this series are morally gray, which makes it all the more intriguing. In addition to the plot points that follow, usually there's an element of suspense in here or mystery. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. I am pretty sure who the Rook is because I've read books that take place after the events of this story. But again, I need a refresher, so looking forward to this one. The next book in the Victorian Rebels series I'm hoping to get to is this little novella, and that's The Earl on the Train. This is about Sebastian Moncrief, who is a villain and a traitor, and a pirate who has recently inherited an earldom he never wanted. As a man who's committed every sin imaginable, he knows his only chance of redemption is the one woman who ever reached through to his soul of ice. He's kidnapped Veronica Latimer once before and was enchanted by everything about her. This time, when he takes her, he'll have to admit that she's kept his heart captive since the moment they met. But can he convince her to forgive his past in order to claim a future? So, sounds like it could be a one night stand situation turned into something more. Not sure, but looking forward to it nonetheless. I also want to hop back into Beverly Jenkins' books, and this one I have here is Winds of the Storm. It is the second book in the Levesque family series. I've already completed Through the Storm, which is the first book. This one follows Archer Levesque, who owes his life to the woman who rescued him from certain death at the height of the Civil War, a woman known only as the Butterfly. Now in the dark, waning days of Reconstruction, he needs the courageous and beautiful former spy in more ways than one. Zara Lafayette thinks her days of intrigue are far behind her until she is asked to go on one more mission. Posing as an infamous madam in New Orleans, Zara must gather information to ensure the safety of the South's freedmen. The last thing she expected was to see Archer Levesque again. He is as arrogant as he is handsome, but there is something about this dusky and debonair hotelier, the person who works in the hotel, that sends her senses singing. Zara knows she will need to guard her secrets, but no peril awaiting her compares with the treachery of Zara's own heart. For Lord help her, she burns to taste the man and to lose herself in his powerful embrace. Beautiful cover, other than the fact that I believe it's one of the brothers in the series. Looking forward to it, but we'll get there. The next book of the same series is Captured, and apparently this is supposed to take place before the events of book 1 and 2. This is more of a prequel rather than a sequel, but nonetheless, I do plan on getting to it. And the back says, she was the most irresistible treasure of all. Dominic Levesque, the most notorious privateer ever to command the high seas, has just captured a coveted prize, a British frigate. On a dangerous mission against the crown, Dominic should be thinking only of his ship's safety, but the rebel captain is utterly entranced by Claire Sullivan, the stunning slave on board. Consumed by desire, desperate to have her, Dominic offers Claire freedom in exchange for a forbidden night in his bed, a night he assures her will be most pleasurable indeed. Claire believes that Dominic is nothing more than a seductive rogue used to getting what he wants, but she too feels a tantalizing passion between them, and so she submits to just one night of bliss. She'll soon realize that Dominic has captured more than her body. He's captured her heart, and she doesn't want him to ever let go. So this is already giving me on the seas or pirate-like romance. Fortunately, those haven't worked out for me much in the past, but maybe this could be the turning point. The final author that I have today is Judith McNaught, A Kingdom of Dreams. This, again, is not the original cover, which is eluding me at least up until now. And the back reads, abducted from her convent school, headstrong Scottish beauty Jennifer Merrick does not easily surrender to Royce Westmoreland, Duke of Claymore. Known as the Black Wolf, his very name strikes terror in the hearts of his enemies, but proud Jennifer will have nothing to do with the fierce English warrior who holds her captive, no matter what he threatens. Boldly she challenges his will, until the night he takes her in his powerful embrace, awakening in her an irresistible hunger. Suddenly, Jennifer finds herself ensnared in a bewildered and seductive web of pride, passion, and overwhelming love. This beloved tale about two defiant hearts clashing in a furious battle of wills in the glorious age of chivalry will stay in your heart forever and be a classic on your shelves. I'm going to hold it to that. We'll see, because I've never read anything by this author, but this is also considered one of her very popular and beloved stories. But the type, as you can see there, is very tight and bold. This may prove to be difficult for me to consume. I'm not sure if my library has an audiobook available, if there is one in existence. But yes, that concludes my list of books that I have today. Of those books on my TBR, I'm likely going to try to complete the historical romances I've already started and tap into fantasy, followed by the suspense. But again, my mood may fluctuate, and this is why I don't usually create TBRs. But considering it's around the holiday season, or at least in my mind, it's a valued holiday, I wanted to, add some spice to my content and my TBR. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, my name's Alexis. Take care and happy reading.